All right, welcome to the Fresh Jive podcast. We got episode 1 today. We're launching the new podcast. We got 2 special guests today with us. We got Humair John Baloch and we got Billy Ahmad. Let's give a quick introduction, guys. Humair, you want to start us off?
First of all, glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Billy, how about yourself?
Also, thank you for the invite. I did not expect to be in the episode 1, but I'm glad I'm here.
You know, this is we're trying something new. It's a new format. Everyone's been doing podcasts, but this is something fun for us to get together and just talk and share some of our fun stories and the good times that we all have with each other with the rest of the world.
I just had a curiosity. What was the old format? Well, let's not get into that. Maybe we'll save that one for episode 2.
Okay, so obviously this is our first time doing a podcast. But yeah, just trying something new, new hobby for myself. Not different from an old podcast, something like that. So some little background on the name Fresh Jive. It was actually my AOL Instant Messenger screen name. Fresh Jive.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but for the younger audience, can you tell us what AOL is?
It was basically the internet before with its current form. It was America Online. Everybody would just sign on. You'd have your screen name and you just send instant messages to each other. And that was how everybody communicated back in the day. And that's how, when you met girls or whatever, you were like, hey, what's your AOL Instant Messenger screen name? And that's how you talked to them back in the day.
And I also remember that's how we got free video games.
Well, we're not going to go into that right now.
Because they were trial. They were, freeware.
Yes, demos. All right. That being said, just so everybody knows as well, Humair is my older brother, and Bilal is his brother-in-law.
That's all the bad guys.
Bro, so you want to, because I'm just naturally going to say bro throughout this conversation, so I just want to let all our viewers know about that. So, bro, you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I work as a lawyer at a firm called Baker McKenzie, focused on M&A a little bit, less so now, but more focused on funds work and blockchain, fintech, a little bit in the NFT space, things of that nature. And then on the side, I do a little bit of real estate investing, and I also teach at Wayne State Law School, the mergers and acquisitions course, and sometimes international tax.
Awesome. Billy, how about yourself? You want to give the people some background about yourself?
I've been training Jiu Jitsu for quite some time, and I actually have an academy that I'm running over there. And like I said, I'm glad to make it in California for the first episode of the podcast.
A quick plug for the academy. Can you tell us where it's located?
In Hawaii, Kapolei. Hopefully my some of the viewers is going to be
we'll drop the link in the bio.
Just click the link in the bio, and then you guys can register.
Yeah, and just use promo code Fresh Jive Podcast. Get what type of incentives can we get the viewers?
20% discount.
That's really good.
On an ongoing basis or first month only?
First month only. Yeah.
They gotta keep the lights on. So.
All right, well there you have it, 20% off. That's the first sponsorship deal. So the Fresh Jive Podcast brought to you by the Kapolei. Gracie, Barra, Kapolei.
I'm actually glad that Humair is actually here, so I could maybe hopefully talk about one of the things that I got myself into Jiu-Jitsu was this individual right over here next to me.
Billy, why don't you kick us off with
that? Is that where you're going straight to the topic?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Shoot, I don't quite remember what was
I can fill in that part. Okay, so the year was about 2010. Billy and his younger brother, Sharjeel, and myself, we were just wrestling in their living room, moved the coffee table out of the way, and just it was me versus both of them,
But bro, you were doing jiu-jitsu training at that time, right?
Yeah, I started jiu-jitsu training around 2009. I wanted to be a cage fighter, ultimately, but decided against it. But starting with jiu-jitsu and did a little Muay Thai, got in really good shape. It's a great workout. And so I wanted to introduce Billy to it because it's sort of like having a superpower. It's like you don't need to be strong. You just use leverage and technique. And it doesn't matter what your opponent's size is. It's just like they don't know what's going on. They don't know how to counter the moves. They don't even know what the moves are. They don't know what you're doing. So they just fall prey to these movements, right? So I did every move that I knew on Billy, and he was, I think, a little bit impressed, and he was like, "Whoa, what the heck?"
Kind of speaking for me a little bit, but yeah, okay. I think a lot of the things that we were watching was the UFC when Anderson Silva was around also, and we were really impressed with some of the techniques that he was doing, on his feet, and of course his ground game was amazing too.
Yeah, we were really into UFC at the time. That's true.
Yeah. But then I don't know. I always forgot what was the first jiu-jitsu school. I know it was in Michigan.
Yeah. So I think I told Billy to come with me to my class, and I enrolled him for the first month. I think he was staying with us for about a month. So it's a school like called Warrior Way, and he did it for a month. And I think a lot of the professors were actually impressed by him. They were like, he's picking up the moves really quickly, and they kept asking him, "Hey, have you done this before?" Even though he had never done it before.
Yeah. I think I was doing both jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Right, and then I remember the first day we were doing Muay Thai, the guy took me up on the ring. And I was like, "Oh, what the heck?" Like, all right, I guess we're going straight into it. You know?
Yeah, I've never even been in the ring.
I mean, shoot, I guess I was that good in Muay Thai also.
Guess so.
Yeah, but never went back to Muay Thai, unfortunately.
Another school, Muay Thai school.
I guess.
Or just add it to
or
your
maybe add it.
school
Yeah,
as a class.
That's what Gracie Ball is starting to do right now too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to get some of that boxing fitness, kickboxing fitness style of it.
So Billy, Humair introduced you to Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
You started training at the Anaheim Hills location on your own?
Yeah, so I guess when I went back to California, where at the time where I was living, I found the closest jiu-jitsu school where in Anaheim. And then it so happened to be Gracie bought Anaheim Hills. And that after that, the rest was history.
You started doing Gracie Barra and Anaheim Hills?
Yeah, Gracie bought Anaheim Hills, and then after that, just like I think it was like 6-7 days a week, and like at least an hour of training, almost 2.5 hours of training that I was doing for I don't know how many years. And then eventually, I actually got offered to teach classes, like kids classes, and then started teaching. Eventually got to the adult classes and stuff like that. But
so how was that decision for you and working with your parents in terms of focusing more on your jiu-jitsu training and maybe not doing the traditional school route? I know you made the transition where you were really focused on jiu-jitsu and training and teaching.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, one of the main things too was I kind of started pretty young, 17 years old, 18 years old. So I was like a junior, senior at that time. So, I mean, luckily I wasn't letting like jiu-jitsu get too much in the way with my homework or my studying and everything like that. So as long as I was able to finish my, my schoolwork and stuff like that, then I was able to still continue training. So, but yeah, turning that into like a career for sure. That was a big turning point. I actually didn't think about like really turn into a career until the age of 24, and that was still me training about five to almost 6 years at that time.
And at what point did you decide to make the move to Hawaii?
Yeah, that was a crazy conversation with with my mom and dad, obviously, because you know how my dad is very strict with wanting to get an education, go to college, then do something with that degree.
The traditional
way, right?
Yeah.
So, but I knew very early on where I was like, okay, school is not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely wasn't. I wasn't very book smart, I guess you could say, but I knew what I liked to do, and I believed in it. So one of my best friends, who's my professor, actually, Professor Elias, he was the one that was living at the time in Hawaii, but he actually came over to California doing a tournament, and he was staying with me. Kind of saw my situation, asked me, didn't really see, he kind of saw that I wasn't really into school, and then of course wanted to grow the empire even bigger than what it was in Hawaii. So that's when he came and gave me the invite to, hey, come over to Hawaii, help me build a school, teach, train. Let's make it big over there.
Talk us through that conversation that you had with your parents when you first approached that whole concept of, hey, I'm going to move to Hawaii and teach jiu-jitsu over there and do my training over there.
That was probably the toughest conversation that I had. That not so much with my mom, because my mom is very supportive,
sure,
and always stuff, but with my dad more so. And it wasn't. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just curious, as you're talking us through this, tell us about how you approached your dad, first of all, for the conversation.
I see. So how did I prepare for it, right? Yeah, that was like I was trying to think of like any kind of question my dad would ask me, and I would come like back at him like right away. Oh, like what if like this happened? Oh, boom, I'll do this. You know, like like I'll.
Yeah.
So definitely, I wrote down like my plan. Because my dad is, you know, he wants to know what's the plan.
He's gonna ask tons of questions.
He's gonna ask millions of questions until he's convinced, right? And even so, you know, that might not even happen. But yeah, I wrote down, kind of told him the plan. You know, my plan was to move to Hawaii, stay there for a year, learn the business, how my friend Elias ran jiu-jitsu, and what he does, what he learned, what I could learn from it for that 1 year. And so, but it was crazy because once I kind of approached it, like I didn't really expect to like what kind of reaction my dad would give me. And it was kind of weird because I'm always used to him being mad, right? But like when he gets sad or starts like getting teary-eyed, that's where I'm like, oh wow, this is like really different. I don't know how to react to this. Yeah, you know, and that's
new territory for you.
Very new territory. And that was when I was like, oh, like, shoot, I wasn't expecting this, you know. So it was very hard, first of all, and even telling them like what day to. So I remember exactly when it was 2017 of April 2nd was my birthday. The next day, April 3rd, I left to move to Hawaii.
When you saw him getting emotional, did that discourage you?
No, because as soon as Elias told me like, hey, let's go to why don't you come to Hawaii, at that moment, that's when I knew like, yes, I do want to do that. Because like
that was your purpose, and you maybe you found purpose for what you wanted to do.
That was the main thing. Because when I was going to school, I was feel like, man, what am I doing? Like what's the point?
I remember when you were going to school, you were interested in kinesiology.
Yes.
And sports medicine type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And that was kind of in line with your jiu-jitsu training, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's I guess that was like what's like the closest thing to jiu-jitsu,
closest thing to your passion.
Exactly, right? But again, there's a lot of things that I just didn't even realize that I didn't realize like how much studying it is, like biology and science and stuff like that. And I'm like the worst at science, so I didn't really realize how difficult it was going to be to continue kinesiology. So yeah, so something to do with jiu-jitsu basically is what I wanted to do. So when Elias approached me with that offer of like, hey, come to Hawaii, let's just start training jiu-jitsu from there, I was already set. I was already like, let's make it happen, you know, at that moment. And this was like, I would say 3 weeks before I moved. And I was like, yes, I said that. But I didn't say it, I was thinking it.
So how far in advance did you have that conversation with your parents? Because you said April 3rd you were taking a move. So when did you have that conversation?
That conversation, probably maybe just a couple weeks.
So let me ask you this: when you were having that conversation, was it getting permission or more like, hey, this is what I'm going to do?
It was a little bit of both. I think I would like to have that backup of like, you know, the parent support. Obviously, you always want to get that. So it was a little bit more of a like, I would like to have the permission to go. You know, this is what I want to do. Can I have the blessing, I guess you can say? But at the same time, like, my dad wasn't like super convinced and was actually trying to make me like somehow stay. You know, figure it out. Let's figure it out, but in California. You know, and at that moment, I was like, no, like I don't want to stay in California. I want to move to Hawaii. I want to do this. You know, and then that's where like it started going like to that point where he was like saddened about that decision. You know, because he was trying to figure out like, okay, let's still do jiu-jitsu, but let's stay in California.
Yeah.
You know?
Be close to home.
You know? Yeah. But my mind was already set at that point where I was like, I want to move to Hawaii and do jiu-jitsu there, you know?
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and part of your dad, I mean, of course, he loves you guys. He cares for you guys. So I think part of it was that he wanted you to be close by so he can kind of have that oversight to make sure that everything was going to go okay with you. Right? You going to Hawaii, 3-hour time zone difference.
Right.
Being in a whole different state, I mean, let alone Hawaii is a whole different country practically. You know, he doesn't have that oversight for you, right? I mean, but I think I remember when you first went, you grew a lot as a person, right? You
Yeah.
felt that was your first time living on your own,
Oh yeah, 100%.
right?
Yeah.
So you have to grow up real quick in that situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was 24. Yeah, I was still, living at my parents at that time, right? So that was like the first time ever. Like, to be honest, like my friend Elias helped me out a lot at that time, but of course, just you're on your own, there at the same time.
I remember he was telling me about it. He was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get paid $2,000 a month, and I get to live with Elias. I don't have to pay for any rent."
No, to be honest, no. I don't think I was getting not.
I don't even think he was getting that much.
I was getting paid $800
A month?
a month, free rent. But even though I was not getting paid that much, and Elias would help me with the rent and stuff like that, like I still don't regret. Like
Yeah, you were telling me like that was a great deal.
to be
At the
honest,
time.
like it was like
Like, don't have to pay for food, don't have to pay for rent.
no, I did have to pay for food.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, essentially $200 a week budget for food.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
and that's literally your only expense.
Yeah, and
right?
then they gave me like access to like their car and
laundry,
everything else was taken care of basically.
Yeah, it was
like I
basically
said,
food.
they helped me a lot. Like especially like the first year.
Yeah.
Of like. They didn't leave me like, oh, hey, good luck, try to like find an apartment or something like that. Like they, like Elias and his wife, Erica, like they both like helped me a lot like that first year. And then I was like, okay, I think I could take care of myself at that point,
Got
And
it.
that's when the 2,000 pay happened when I moved out.
Got it. We're gonna dive into your time in Hawaii in 1 second. We're gonna jump into our sponsors real quick. We want to give a shout out to Supreme Jerky for sponsoring the first episode of the podcast. We're back from our sponsor break. We're talking to Billy about his transition to Hawaii as he started his journey down teaching jiu-jitsu at the Gracie Barra Academy in Kapolei.
Yes,
So those first few months, what was the biggest adjustment living on your own?
The man, food. Like because I was living with my mom, food was like ready for me. You
Right,
know?
now you have to fend for yourself, eating ramen noodles, no more gourmet Indian dishes.
In the beginning, it was like basically cup noodles and like poke bowls. Like poke bowl, I would drive myself to the Foodland, and then get a nice little poke bowl for lunch, and then I'll go to the academy around like 1 o'clock, eat my lunch there, and then like call people up, do all this other crazy stuff, and then wait for the class to start, and then I'm there basically the whole time until like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock p.m. or something like that.
What about socially? Did you have a difficult time meeting people, or was the academy a good source of being able to meet people?
The coolest thing, well, especially in the jiu-jitsu like environment, but I think this is just a testament of how Hawaii is. Everybody's super nice. Like everybody's like oh, aloha, like bring it in. Like everybody, like how they just shake hands like in California, and like in Hawaii they give out hugs. Like you're hugging everybody, and that's what I really loved about Hawaii, and that was one of the biggest things that made me want to stay in Hawaii was that aloha spirit. Like everybody was like super chill, super cool, and everybody loved it. It was cool too because I actually did a super fight in Hawaii. Like I think the first like month there, I think I was staying, or like the first like 2 months or something like that. It was very, very early when I moved.
I think I remember that. Was that one of the ones that they were streaming online, or was like on the
I don't know if that was on the line.
Because I know you had a few of those, right?
I had a couple of those. I think the one you're talking about was Fight to Win, which I did later on.
Okay.
This was like a different one, which is very similar, which is a submission only fight. It was a 20-minute submission only fight, and I remember that kind of not put me on the map, but like everybody thought like nobody knew who I was basically in the jiu-jitsu community in Hawaii. And I remember this guy, his name was Nick Merckx. and he was a brown belt and I was a brown belt, and then everybody was saying like, "Oh, Merkham, like this guy, like this, like I don't know what they were saying in the crowd, but they everybody was very confident on the opposite guy on the other end, and it was a 20-minute submission only fight, and then what happened was I think I jumped triangle like within like the first like 10 seconds, and then like 30 seconds later I tapped him out with the armbar triangle, and then everybody was like quiet. they didn't say anything else after that, and then I think that's what really put me on the map. Like, whoa, this guy's actually pretty good. This guy's actually a pretty good big deal or something like that. I don't know if it was like that big of a deal, but I mean, everybody at my academy at least, and everybody and all the other jiu-jitsu schools, they're like, oh wow, this guy's pretty good. So I remember one guy came up to me afterwards. He gave me like a $20 or something. I think he betted on me and gave me $20.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah,
man, there was betting.
I think I was an underdog or something like that.
Awesome. You had your first super fight,
yeah,
and that fight against Nick Merckx kind of put you on the map of the jiu-jitsu community in Kapolei.
Yeah, more like at the academy, everybody like, oh wow, he's actually really good. Like, man, that's awesome to see, you know. And I think Elias at the time too would highly talk about me as well at the academy too. So I mean, people were already excited that I was already there, but that fight that was kind of cool to see, like witnessing that too. So.
Got it. And you were teaching classes already at that point, right?
Yeah, I think by the first day, I was like, as soon as I moved there, I was already in it. I was already like ready to work and let's do it.
Got it.
At that time.
So
sure.
Was that a confidence boost when you beat Nick Merckx?
Yeah, I guess so you could say that.
I guess what I want to ask is like, when did you realize that you were actually good at jiu-jitsu?
Good at jiu-jitsu? I mean, I felt like to me personally, I felt like I was good at jiu-jitsu as a blue belt. I felt like, you know.
Because I know a lot of high achievers, they're like, they never feel like they're good enough. They're always striving for better.
I mean, there's like a moment in jiu-jitsu where it kind of clicks and jiu-jitsu kind of makes sense. And that at that time, that was like around like blue, purple belt era.
And you were doing tournaments at the time?
That was when I was doing like, I was competing a lot more. Yeah, at that time for sure too. Not like a lot, but I was just competing more than all my other belts for sure.
And when you started jiu-jitsu, you probably had some peers, right? And I feel like you accelerated beyond your peers.
Oh,
you
yeah, at the academy. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
As a student.
I mean, as a student, because I was going like every day,
right?
For sure, like
so that attributed to your success.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like you could apply that with anything.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
if you study hard enough, you're gonna be more smarter in that era, right? So when it comes to jiu-jitsu, when you go 6-7 days a week for at least 2 hours, 2.5 hours, like for sure your skills gonna skyrocket.
Do you think your physical ability also contributed to that?
I mean, I was pretty flexible at the time, and then but the one thing was I wasn't very strong. So when I was as a younger belt, like white belt, blue belt, I remember a lot of people overpower me. So luckily, like my technique helped me get better. So like to the point where I was like, okay, I don't have to rely on my strength because this guy's gonna overpower me. Like no matter what I do, he's gonna beat me like 9 times out of 10. So the only thing I could rely on was my technique, and I think that's what really helped me the most was because I was focusing on my technique so much, it just grew my skills that much more. And my technique just got better that way as well.
You know what I've noticed though when I'm rolling with you, that you do have a ton of power. You do feel strong.
So the thing is, because you focus so much on your technique, as your strength started catching up with that made you even better, right? Because you had that foundation down.
Yeah, I guess you could think of it that way. Well, I guess you could say like the man strength, right? Like I think.
But you don't lift weights.
Not that much.
As far as I can see, anyway.
No, not that much. No, I've been recently trying to go to the gym, right? But nothing too crazy.
Because you don't carry a lot of muscle, but you just have this innate energy.
Think about it this way: a golf swing, right? If you have the right technique, you don't have to swing full force, right?
Absolutely.
If you do it with the right technique, you can launch the ball.
Oh,
so
100%.
I think it's similar in that regard, right? If you have the right technique, you don't necessarily need that strength to be successful in it.
Yeah, and that's I mean, that's a good analogy to put it as. You know, there's precision, there's like technique when it comes to golf, and it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu where there's also precision, there's technique, and there's places where you got to put your body, where you got to put your legs. Same ways as like anything else that you say, you know, kicking a football or kicking a whatever, you know, a soccer ball.
Taking it a level further, I noticed it's a lot of like positioning, angles, and grip strength.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
100%. I mean, grip strength is always going to be part of it, and then that's just gradually what you're going to be working on as with your jiu-jitsu career. Anyways, I did heavily work on my grip strength by like throwing like the gi over like a bar and like doing pull-ups or just hanging on to the gi or something like that. So that really helped on my grip strength a lot. I remember one guy was saying like my grips were like crazy strong recently, and then and I didn't even realize, but I guess it is.
Like I can bench press 300 pounds, right?
Sure.
But I was having a hard time getting out of your grips.
Yeah. That's just that's jiu-jitsu right there, man.
So Billy, let's do this. Let's fast forward now. You went to Kapolei.
Yep.
Now let's fast forward to when you took over the academy. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the differences of being, hey, you teaching classes here and there under Elias's watch,
right,
now to you being the main guy at the academy? What was a big change for you in that regard?
As far as as far as responsibility goes, right, that was kind of a big change. But as far as teaching and like how I want people to look at me, like I didn't want that to be a huge change. Like I still want people to know who like my professor is, Professor Elias. I still want people to know. So I actually still have his picture up on the wall next to Master Carlos and myself. So I didn't put his picture down. So I still keep it there just because I want him. And the other thing was too, like I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, like I'm the head guy now, let me just boss everybody. Like I didn't really like that. Like I don't, to be honest, I like being like part of the team, but like that fact of me wanting to be like, okay, like I'm the main guy, everything's over my shoulders, it was kind of like scary in the beginning, but then and then you just kind of get used to it, to be honest with you.
But Billy, I mean, let me tell you this. I know you're a fun guy, very like to have fun, joke around, and just a pleasure to be around. So you have a good time. But now when you're like the main guy, did you notice that you had to tone that down a little bit to show like, hey, I'm the leader of this academy now?
Yes, I mean, little yes and no, because you always want to have good energy when you're like, for example, teaching classes, or good energy, like even off the mats, even too. So like I always, and that's like, I'm not gonna change my personality, because like I feel like there's like, I mean, I'm sure I have my faults, right? But I mean, I think the way I'm teaching and the way I'm doing things is fine in my way, and I mean, it just goes to show how just how everybody else is at the academy as well. We all treat each other with respect, and then that's all I really care about, for sure. Yeah, do I not act so silly as much as I used to? For sure. I don't there's some things you gotta have to be careful. You gotta watch. You always gotta watch what you say, obviously. But it's like times 100. Because you're like, everybody's gonna be learning off of you. So like I don't want people to, like, when people hear me say like, I don't know, like bad things. I don't want other people to think like it's okay to say those bad things. Even though I try not to say those anyways. But yes, for sure. To answer your question, like there was a sense of like responsibility where I was like, okay, I can't be acting like a fool, because I don't want anybody else to be like that as well, especially at the academy. So
tell us a little about some of these cool programs you've been doing as now the leader of the Gracie Barra Kapolei. You put on this clinic by a famous jiu-jitsu MMA person, right?
Oh yeah. So our most recent one, we actually had Marcelo Garcia, a very well-known jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's just a legend when it comes to jiu-jitsu. So we actually had Marcelo Garcia not too long ago do a nice little 2-hour, I believe, hour and a half, 2-hour seminar not too long ago. And then we actually had Nicky Rod as well, who did a seminar too, which was kind of a big deal, because a lot of people, he's kind of a little bit, I want to say up and coming, but he's already well known right now. And he did a really good fight recently with Gordon Ryan. And then I think just not too long ago, I think yesterday, he just got the announcement that he posted. He's gonna be fighting Felipe Pena.
Nice.
It's gonna be a pretty sweet.
And those
fight.
clinics you did, they were exclusive for only Gracie Barra Kapolei students, right?
100%. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the one thing I definitely love to do is always give back to my students, and the obviously there's not a lot of things I can do individually, but as a whole, this is one way I could give back. So
I have
I
a
usually
question on that.
encourage-
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
So generally speaking, when there's some big name person to do a clinic, they usually open it up for everyone. What was your hesitation on doing that?
So it's not about them wanting to open up for everybody. It's basically whoever's paying. They're organizing basically
But isn't there a benefit to doing that?
to
Opening it up for everyone?
I mean, the benefits I guess you could be is where it will look good on my part. I guess you can say, but personally speaking, I don't care what people think about me outside the academy. I want the benefits for my students to get the best type of quality of jiu-jitsu.
But wouldn't it also have opened it up to greater exposure for your academy? Get new students.
The thing about Hawaii, because it's such a small island, and like every jiu-jitsu school knows every other jiu-jitsu school, the exposure is already out there.
Okay.
Like it's not gonna make a big impact. Whereas like oh my God, Gracie Barra Kapolei is opening up another clinic for free. It's gonna be amazing, for them. Like to me, it doesn't help.
Not necessarily, poach students from other academies, but
Sure.
hey, greater exposure. Somebody who's maybe interested in jiu-jitsu sees, hey, look at this clinic that's being put on by the Gracie Barra Kapolei, and they're opening it up to people. Hey, I want to go check it out.
Yeah.
And I come check out this clinic. Hey, this is awesome. Hey, can I sign up for your thing?
Yeah, but in a way, we kind of already get that from our students, where they post it up on their social media
yeah.
anyways, So we're already getting that exposure. Excuse me, that exposure out there already, And to be honest, like most of our signups as well is through word of mouth. A lot of them is through online too, but most of them is word of mouth. They talk about us.
Awesome. Yeah.
So another thing that I did pretty early on when I took over was the mat space. Because we were overflowing. We didn't have enough space for everybody, so I was thinking ahead, like, okay, what can I do? Either find a new location or just put more mats in. So we took out a lot of the seating areas out, and then we actually put more mats in.
That's awesome.
So I mean,
more space for people to roll.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and the parents too, like for the kids in there, like nobody was complaining about it. Like, oh, more mat space for the kids. All right, perfect. I don't mind standing. Like, they
So the parents stand the whole time?
Yeah, now recently we just got some like benches that Professor Leo, who made them and everything. So he does a fantastic job of making benches and doing all sorts of things at the academy. So now we finally got some like chairs and stuff like that out there. So yeah,
So I think this question hinges on the fact that the Hawaiian business landscape operates a little bit differently than mainland. And so I think Billy has found that over time by being in the business in Hawaii, seeing what works, what doesn't
Absolutely.
work from a marketing perspective,
Absolutely.
and realizing that putting on a clinic and opening it up is not going to do much from a marketing perspective. It's more so the word of mouth advertising. That's been working for you.
Nah, yeah, 100%. And again, there's not a lot of crazy things that I'm doing as far as like marketing.
And you're at capacity anyway.
We're
actually,
we're
right?
pretty-
You have a waiting
we're-
list now.
We're pretty full on most of the classes. Where
Right.
we're
Have
at full capacity.
you had more thoughts on opening up a second location?
A second location would be fantastic. I think that would be. I mean, there's plenty of space for more jiu-jitsu to be all
Right.
over the island.
Would you be
for
able to
sure.
manage a second location?
I mean, if I get the right team, for sure we could.
Isn't that the hardest part?
That's yeah.
Do you currently have enough of a team to spread out to a second location?
We could definitely do something like that for sure.
And it's going to start out small anyway, so it's not going to be like
Absolutely.
you're going to have 300 students right away.
No, of course.
And you'll have time to build it.
That's all jiu-jitsu schools are.
Right.
By the way, like you don't see the income coming in like the first like month or so. Like
Right.
it's gonna take some time to generate for
Yeah.
sure. But since we're on the west side of Oahu, which is the suburb area side. It's a Kapolei basically. We only get like that side of like, I guess you could say, the consumer side of that, on that island only. But there's a gold mine on Waikiki, which is, you know, much more heavily populated and a lot more people there too. And then, I mean, the growth of jiu-jitsu is definitely going to be, you know,
There's
all over
a
the island,
large
for sure.
appetite for jiu-jitsu schools in Waikiki, you're saying?
Yeah, I mean Waikiki for sure, but
So
I
there's
mean,
zero
even-
schools there currently?
No, there are some schools there, right? But no Gracie Barra schools, you know. So that's kind of the cool thing. Like I'm the only Gracie Barra school in Oahu.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah. So I'm the only one over there. So,
And so with these other schools, have you been there? Have you looked at them? Or are they not as good as Gracie Barra?
no, so I don't like talking bad to any school. So, but what I will say would be like, me personally, I never been to another school just because I never had to. Like I never was like, oh, let's go train over there. I don't mind cross training if like my students want to go cross train, no problem. You know, I'm never gonna say no to that or, you know, badmouth them or for whatever reason for that. If they want to cross train and make their jiu-jitsu better, you know, so be it, no problem. You know.
Yeah.
But me personally, I always felt like I got my training, and I felt like I was okay to train at the school. You know, even when I was just as a worker, not the owner, I got the training that I needed at Kapolei. But what I will say about other schools, and this is from not my words, but from other students, where they'll be talking about it. Again, I don't like talking bad about anything, because I think all the jiu-jitsu schools are doing fantastic, especially in Hawaii. I feel like everybody should be doing jiu-jitsu, if it's Gracie Barra or, you know, any other jiu-jitsu school out there that's over there. You know, it just wherever you guys want to train, wherever you guys want to do it, you know, just do it. You guys pick and choose, you know, where you guys want to be. But for sure, what I felt like, I'm pretty strong, and I abide by this, where we actually have really good structure. I feel like we have a really good foundation where we can help people build their base of jiu-jitsu and then work their way up to better themselves, to do more advanced techniques, you know. So we we have a fundamental class, then we have the advanced class. Fundamentals we have 7 days a week.
And I think a lot of that comes from your teaching experience. You have many years of teaching experience, and on top of that, you've been trained by people with many decades of experience.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. So my way is not my way. You know,
Right.
my way is Gracie Barra's way,
Right.
which is essentially Master Claus Gracie Jr.
Right.
You know, all the way down to the lineage of, you know, Master Claus Gracie Senior. You know, like it was their way, and they created the wheel. I'm just, you know, working it basically.
So, Billy, you're a black belt.
Yes.
You own your own academy. What's next for you? And
Oh man, right now just living life, man. Just continuing just to thrive.
what about competitions? Are you looking to get involved in some more competitions anytime soon?
Nothing too crazy with the competitions right now, just because I'm just heavily focusing on the academy and just wanting to just, you know, help build the school as much as I can, for sure. That's what I was basically doing the first year when I took over of 2022. Now that it's 2023 and the school is basically, you know, self-sustaining as it is. I could definitely think about wanting now to get back into competition training, competition mode. I've been kind of slacking on that, to be honest.
Do you miss it?
Definitely. I love anytime when Fight to Win comes or any other tournaments that some of the students are doing. Like, I always been like, dang, like, oh man, I feel like getting in there, you know.
Have you faced Mr. Nick Merckx again?
No, I think he moved.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think he left.
I mean, anybody after that defeat would end up moving.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, shout out Nick Merckx, if you want to jump on the podcast to hear your take on it, hit us up. We'll
Better
make it
yet,
happen.
how about we do a live rematch?
Ooh, baby. All right, well, the gauntlet challenge has been put down.
Hey, I don't know where he's at, but if he's listening, sign me up. Let's do it.
Nicky Murray, get at us.
Unless you put him in retirement, you know.
I believe he was still training. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was still training. And if I'm not mistaken, he got his black belt.
All right, well, we'll let the power of the internet find Mr. Nick Merckx, and we'll see if we can set that up.
Somebody in the comments, please at him.
Okay, so you know, just building up the academy, possibly getting to more competitions again.
Yeah. I mean, again, man, the school's doing fantastic.
Great.
It's just man. Another thing is too, like, sometimes we forget that I live in Hawaii, and it's literally paradise over there. And sometimes you just get caught up at work and you don't remember where you're at. So sometimes I gotta open up my eyes a little bit and kind of relax a little bit too. So luckily I'm kind of starting to do that right now.
And a quick side plug. I have to say, I've known Billy for many years, and he's a child at heart. And I think that speaks to his ability to teach children jiu-jitsu. He's a great teacher for adults as well, but I see his teaching skills becoming better and better over time. He was teaching my own kid in the living room just yesterday, and I was super impressed by how much better he was at teaching jiu-jitsu than some other people like myself even, and so it just demonstrates Billy's improvement and his growth over the years, and I'm just hugely impressed.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, man. Especially coming from Humair, man. That means actually a lot. Because
and I mean, Billy, just hands down, we're all really proud of you, man.
No, thank you.
We're really happy with your success. We want to see you continue to succeed, continue growing. Gracie, Barra, Kapolei, you're doing fantastic, and honestly, we're all really proud of you, Billy.
Thank you, guys.
And Billy, you were saying, especially coming from Humair?
No, I was just saying, especially. I was just gonna say, especially coming in from Humair, this is literally the guy that kind of got me started with this. And then I think without Humair, it's just like I don't think we probably wouldn't even be here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So let's shift the conversation.
I mean, without Humair, this podcast might have been about me.
I probably wouldn't be in this podcast, and this camera would be looking at you.
Yeah, for sure. So let's shift a little bit. Let's talk to Humair now. Humair, you've had a interesting career in terms of your background. You started off working at some law firms. You went to a consulting firm, and now you're back at a large law firm now. How's it been, the transition between working at a big four to a big law?
The transition has been difficult, to say the least. So initially speaking, I was focused on international tax work, a lot of cash repatriation, FTC planning, which is foreign tax credit planning, and then the changes in the laws. As you guys know, in 2017, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was passed, introducing a host of new tax laws. And one, for example, being the Global Intangible Low Tax Income Tax under Section 59 Cap A. That involves a lot of anti-deferral regime for foreign...
Hey, actually, hey, hang on. I think. Hang on. I think we're gonna pivot. Okay, I think we're gonna pivot. You saw. Hang on. You saw Alien.
Professor Ruben Aviona from University of Michigan, get at me, please.
Okay. We're gonna pivot. Tell us about your UFO encounter.
Wait, what about the taxes though?
I think some of our viewers want to know: is Billy single?
No, I'm not.
Ooh, ladies.
That reminds me of a poem. One of my favorite poems, "The Oil of Minerva." But anyways, carry on.
Very bad inside joke.
All right, edit that part out. So I want to thank you guys both for jumping on the podcast.
Hey, thanks for the invite. I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah, no, this is our first time doing this.
This reminds me of the Jimmy Kimmel end of show when Matt Damon's about to be on.
Hey, who's this guy again?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, John.
Wait, this guy lawyer or something like that?
You mentioned you were at the Big Four.
Yeah. How much more time do we have?
We got about 10 seconds.
And that's all rules.
All right. So, hey, thank you guys both for jumping on. We will keep the viewers informed as far as the next date. Billy, we're going to have Billy back on. Talk about more jiu-jitsu. John, if you're available, we'd love to have you join us too.
I think I have something to do that night.